Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I'm continuing my series on ranking or counting down my 100 favorite movies of all time. We are now in my top 20, so I'm going to do 20 through 16 on my list. Yes, some real great banger movies in my opinion. Two Spielberg classics in my opinion as well. And one of the greatest kind of older movies in the 50s on here as well. And we got my favorite animated movies on this list. And also we have one of my favorite superhero movies as well. So lots of good stuff here. So hope you enjoy it here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Wednesday night now? Yeah, Wednesday night. Doing pretty good. It's definitely it wasn't too bad today. It's been over a week since it snowed. It did snow like a week and a half ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I can't remember now. And it's been in the 20s and so forth during the nights. It's a little bit better today. It's like in the 40s now at night or so. So still pretty chilly, but definitely winter weather. I have to wear my hoodie now. As you'll see in my videos, because it's definitely gotten colder. But yeah, glad to get back to talking about my favorite movies of all time. And this is due to a contest winner, which was individual Jackson from Horsetooth Cinema, who won my Oscar prediction contest last time. And we're getting kind of an Oscar season again, so we're going to get into that this next year, another Oscar prediction contest. And if you win, you can tell me what kind of project he would like me to work on like this. I like to do these big lists like this. So so you get to kind of dictate what I do on my channel if you can win that contest. But yeah, so thanks a lot to Jackson for participating this last time anyway. So also, I just got done watching Wicked. I just came home from watching Wicked basically tonight anyway. So I'll probably talk about that at a later time, give a review on that movie as well. But anyway, let's get to number 20, 20th favorite movie of all time. This is a third movie in a trilogy, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yeah, number 20. Yeah, man, I love this movie. It's my favorite Indiana Jones movie. Yeah, a lot of people will say Raiders of the Lost Ark. That seems to be a general consensus. It seems like everybody, I've even heard some people say they love Temple of Doom, which is funny because I don't like Temple of Doom. It's just a much different, darker movie than the other two. And just a different kind of movie compared to these two. I do love Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was on my list as well. That was at number 35. Yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 movie. It's just, and Spielberg, I mean, just amazing. My favorite director, really directs the heck out of this. Of course, I love the Indiana Jones series, love the character, love the action adventure of the series. It's so good. Love the whole story of like looking after like a biblical artifact. This time we're looking for the last cup of Christ that he drank at the Last Supper or whatever. I forget there's a word. There's a word for it now. I'm missing, but it's the Holy Grail. I guess they call it the Holy Grail. Anyway, so it's I like that. I like that we're again kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark was about the Ark of the Covenant. This is the Holy Grail. So I love that we're dealing with this biblical, artifact that's disappeared over history, of course, and that it has magical powers because of, has something to do with God, So I don't know. I kind of like that story idea. It makes for kind of a cool fantasy adventure as well. And yeah, of course, and all the traveling to different countries, it's got all that in it. I love all that. Why I love this movie so much is the father and son aspect. Sean Connery coming in as Indiana Jones's father, I think Henry Jones Senior or something like that. But yeah, the dynamic between the two is so great because there's this bad history that they're trying to get over. They don't get along very well. A lot of comedy. I think this is the funniest of the three Indiana Joneses. I say three. I know there's five Indiana Jones movies, but I guess talking about the original trilogy, this is definitely the funniest of them. A lot of great comedic moments, as well as the great action moments as well. Yeah, I love just how they bicker back and forth and all that. And then also it's a real good emotional moment, like at the very end when they kind of connect again emotionally, and you got some great scenes like with that very last scene where he tells Indiana Jones to take my hand, and he says Indy, and then how that gets him to take his hand. Love that scene. And you do feel a real genuine connection between the two. I think it's great. I mean, I love the scene where Indiana Jones is fighting this Nazi guy on top of a tank, and they're going over a cliff, and he has to jump off the cliff, but you don't really see him jump off the tank, whatever. And so it's like, oh no, did he go over the cliff? Anyways, and everybody in the scene where Sean Connery's looking over and he thinks he lost his son, he goes, I lost him, and all this. And it's like a very good emotional scene. And then right after that, it's very comedic because Indiana Jones comes up from behind them and looks over the edge like, what are you guys looking at? And because they think he fell over, and then he hugs him and says, I thought I lost you, boy, or something like that. Oh, great stuff. Really makes it, I don't know, makes it, I think, better than the other two, in my opinion, because of that dynamic between the father and son. And that whole action sequence when Indiana Jones is trying to go save his father, who's kidnapped by one of the Nazi guys, and it's inside the tank, and he's on a horse, and they play that dun 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 dun. Oh, the music is so good, of course. Great John Williams score, but man, that Indiana Jones theme playing while he's fighting the Nazis. Oh, and then just the editing of him fighting over here, and then you're seeing what's going inside the tank, and editing is just so good. Action sequences, so good. That's why Spielberg is like the greatest, in my opinion, because of that kind of stuff anyways. But yeah, what more to say? Absolutely fantastic into the trilogy. Yeah, absolutely love this. My favorite Indiana Jones movie. It's number 20 on my list. All right, number 19, we're going to now my favorite animated movie of all time, my favorite Disney. I'm doing a Disney countdown, so this is going to spoil that list, but it is my favorite of all time. That is The Lion King. No surprise there. I think a lot of people I talk to, this is their favorite movie as well. And this is it's a Blu-ray, though it looks like a DVD, unfortunately. I wish it looked more like a Blu-ray. But yeah, I saw this movie back in 90, I think it came out, 90, I want to say 93, but it might be 94 that it came out. But I saw it in the theater on my birthday. Because I remember, yeah, I don't know, it's one of those great moments. I remember coming off of Aladdin. I was a big fan of Aladdin. Aladdin was like my favorite movie of all time when I saw it in the theater. So I was like big on like anything Disney coming out. And I remember this, like the next movie coming out, and I was really hyped for it. I'm like, yeah, let's go see Lion King. And so my dad took me and like 2 or 3 of my friends. And man, it's so fun when you're a kid and you got your friends with you and you're there eating popcorn, watching this new movie. You don't know if it's going to be good or not. Turns out to be an absolute classic. And it I think broke the box office record for animated movie at the time. I mean, it was a huge box office movie. And I was so happy I was there seeing it, like opening weekend or whatever it came out, and being just like, wow, that movie was so good. And over time, it's gotten better. Like the older I get, the more I love this movie. Yeah, again, a lot of it's, it's a great story. The music is so good. Elton John, Rice music. Oh my gosh, so many great memorable moments. And probably the best scene in the whole movie is that beginning. The beginning is so good. So iconic too. I mean, how many times have we tried to, repeat that, scene, or we think about that scene of the sun coming up and I am not I have no idea what it is, but da da dee da zimba. I love that African chant stuff. And then we see we go into Circle of Life, of course, amazing song. And we have that bird, and you're following that bird that's flying. Like, that was really cool animation at the time. It's still great. Like, even to this day, I still love that beginning. And we see all the different animals coming up, and then it just crescendos into that circle of life, and then he's holding the baby. You know, so many good stuff just at the beginning part. Besides that, you know, you got so much stuff like, you know, Can't Wait to Be King, Kuna Matata, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I mean, every musical number is like really great and some of the best that they ever had. So glad that Elton John won an Oscar for Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Him and Rice. Great song. Also, one of my favorite musical scores, Hans Zimmer won his first Oscar for this movie. And when I watch it, man, that score is so good. I love how he uses a lot of African style because they're in Africa in the musical score, and a lot of African voices, you know, singing probably, you know, Swahili or something. Love that aspect of it. I mean, that scene where Simba has to walk up the Pride Rock, whatever, and they're playing that music. You're like, oh my gosh, what an emotional scene! And he roars, you know, and then everything gets better. Oh man, musically, just perfect. But yeah, great story. Love the you know, Simba, Mufasa, his dad's that whole dynamic. Another great father-son story. You know, and now we got Mufasa coming out. I know this month, in fact. I know we got Mufasa story coming out. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I love those characters. And then his, you know, arc of thinks it's his fault that his dad died. And let me say, that's one of the saddest scenes ever put on screen. Like, I cry every time I watch the Mufasa death scene, which I'm spoiling the movie, but I'm sorry, it's been around for like 30 years. But yeah, that Mufasa death scene, oh my gosh, it's so sad. And but his redemption, or not his redemption, but his arc of, like, you know, thinking it was his fault, and then kind of not taking his responsibility of being the next king, and then getting confronted by it, and then, you know, confronting, you know, what happened in the past and all that. Oh, so good. And him coming back and taking over from the evil Uncle Scar. Yeah, it's such a great storyline. And the characters are amazing. Timon and Pumbaa, some of the best side characters ever made in Disney. So definitely up there as one of my favorite kind of comedy side characters. They work so well together as well. But yeah, it's like another 5 out of 5 movie. It's a perfect animated movie. It's like the music's great, the characters are great. I mean, the singing's great, the musical score is great, the story's great. Just a great ending. It's hilarious. It's dramatic. Action sequences. I mean, it's got everything you want in an animation movie. And still today, I watch it from time to time and still absolutely love it. Lion King, here at number 19 on the list. Number 18, it's a fairly newer movie. Came out in the last 5 years or so, I think. And that's Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, one of my top favorite superhero movies, and by far my favorite Spider-Man movie, to be honest. And man, what an incredible idea and incredible way to. There'll probably be more Spider-Man stories, because it feels like there needs to be more. They leave it kind of at an ending where it feels like we need more Spider-Mans, in my opinion. But still, it's an incredible third movie in the trilogy right now, and somewhat ending, I guess, to the story, if this is the last one. But what they're able to do is just like one of those fantasy moments, as you know, as a fan of superhero movies, where you're like, what if we took, you know, 3 Spider-Mans from two, you know, we already had this cinematic universe where we like, let's take superheroes from different, you know, movies and put them in one movie like The Avengers. And that was such a groundbreaking idea, and really changed cinema to me. And now we get this one where they do the same thing, but they do something, I mean, it's so incredible that it's like, I never thought they'd pull it off. And the fact that they did makes this movie even better for me. That's why it's so high here. Number 18 is that when we get, again, spoiling the movie a little bit, but not only do we get the MCU Spider-Man from Tom Holland, but then they take Spider-Man from the original Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield from the Amazing Spider-Man series. And that's such a cool idea to go, oh, these other Spider-Mans exist in another universe. And they're just bringing them out of these other movie universes. I never even thought of that as an idea. And then when they did that in this movie, I was like, what a brilliant idea. I love this idea. And that's such a cool moment when of course, when they bring them all three together, and they all have their sad backstories, and you kind of get the sense of the tragedy of these characters working together. You know, as they're all Spider-Man, they're all Peter Parkers from different universes, but they all have the same kind of sad backstory in a sense, and how they connect each other. So great. But the overall movie is just, again, amazing. Again, I love the also bringing the different villains from different movies. So great. William Dafoe, one of the greatest. I say William Dafoe as Norman Osborn, as the Green Goblin. I'm gonna say right now, one of the greatest villains of all time. Like a top 5 superhero villain for sure. You know, and William Dafoe is just so good. His performance, and the fact that they brought him back from the first movie, and he does the same character and just does it flawlessly. And I think he's even better in this version than he was in the first Spider-Man movie. He is so good. But I love Dr. Ock. That's such a great storyline. And what I love about this movie is it brings closure to all these other storylines that we had from other movies that I didn't know. Some I thought I needed, and some I didn't know I needed. But I love how they did it here. But I love the Doc Ock storyline so great because he's a bit of a tragic character from the Spider-Man 2. And because he's a good guy, really, that got corrupted, and we kind of see him go back to being good. I love that for that character. It's great as well. Electro, man, made a great villain as well in this movie, and I think Jamie Foxx gives a better performance here than he even did in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that's cool. They brought that character back and really made him a really cool villain character, and all that. But the greatest storyline of all time, I think, that needed closure was the Andrew Garfield storyline where, again, spoiling Amazing Spider-Man 2, but where he has to save Gwen Stacy, and he tries to save her from falling, and she ends up dying, breaking her back when he tries to, tries to save her with his webbing. Such a sad, shocking moment in that movie. And that's how that movie series ended. We never got a third Amazing Spider-Man movie, so it felt like we never got closure to that character. It leads on a very sad end. And so the fact that we get that moment where MJ from this universe is falling to her death, and the only person that can save her is the Andrew Garfield character. And every time I talk about it, I'm like tearing up. Like right now, I'm about ready to tear up because that scene just, I don't know, it's so emotional for me. I cry every time I watch it because the fact that he gets to save this MJ and, do something he couldn't do his own. He couldn't save his own, love of his life, but he got to save this Peter Parker's love of his life. He got to save her, and man, that was such a great moment for him. I don't know if closure is the right word, but it's something we needed. It's something I needed as a fan of Spider-Man. To see him, not get over, but help kind of give him get over the fact that, he couldn't save his own girlfriend, but he got to save this MJ, whatever. And yeah, one of the greatest moments to me in film history. Like, first time I saw that, I was just like, I could not believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's such an amazing idea and moment that I've ever had. That such an emotional moment that just like, you see it and you're like, wow, like that's one of the greatest moments. And like, it's like, I'm never going to get another great moment like that again. That just, that's what I love movies for. Sometimes they give you that really great moment that you're just like, wow, I never thought of that. And now I got it. It's like, I watch it over again and I still get the feeling inside me, but the first time it happened, like that feeling inside of you, you're never going to get again. And you go, oh my gosh, that's such a great feeling. Anyways, but yeah, I love that. The action in the movie is very good. Like all the action sequence, especially when the 3 Spider-Men are fighting together against all the villains. Oh my, on the Statue of Liberty, man, it's such good action sequence. But throughout the whole movie, all the action sequences are so good. So as an action movie, top notch. As a story, top notch. It's also very funny. It's got some of the funniest moments I've seen in a movie. Where I just die laughing. But yeah, too many to count. I could go on and on about it, but yeah, this is like the perfect superhero movie that does something that no other superhero movie has ever done before by bringing other characters from other movies, from other franchises in. I just love it so much, and yeah, because of all the emotional moments at the end. It's one that I just never get tired of watching. Yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home here at number 18 on my list. At number 17, I'm going for an old classic movie. It's been a favorite of mine since, I don't know, I first saw it when I was like a teenager. And that is 12 Angry Men from, I want to say like 1956 or 57. Yeah, 57. Came out in 1957. Absolute classic. Movie with directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Henry Fonda, one of my favorite actors of all time. But the cast is great. I mean, the whole movie is just 12 guys basically, and 12 jurors of a murder trial, talking about if the person's guilty or not, and spending all in one room. And it's like, how do you make a incredible movie just with 12 guys in one room talking? It's very hard to do. In fact, I criticize a lot of movies that do that because I want to see a little more movement. I want to see them traveling to here and there, more story or whatever. But no, this screenplay is so good. It's one of the best screenplays I've ever seen. Some of the best acting I've ever seen. I love I think his name's Lee Cobb. Let me see, it's right here. Lee Cobb. Lee Cobb is kind of the biggest jerk of the movie. Man, so good. Should have gotten like an Oscar nomination. I can't believe he didn't get one, or Henry Fonda should have gotten an Oscar nomination. They are so good. But everybody's great in here. From Ed Begley, E.J. Marshall, Jack Warden, Martin Balsam, John Fielder, Jack Klugman, Edward Benz, Joseph Sweeney, George Voskovec, and Robert Webber. I mean, they're all absolutely incredible in their own characters. Anyways, definitely, Henry Fonda said, Lee J. Cobb. I think Jack Warden's a standout here. Yeah, Jack Klugman's really good as well. But yeah, they're all incredible here. And yeah, it's just a really cool story, if you don't know it, of these 12 jurors. This kid is, I say he's a kid, he's probably, I don't know, might be 18 or something. His father's dead, and they think he's the one who stabbed him. And they got some circumstantial evidence that he probably did it, or motivation that he probably did it. And all these things are stacked against him, but everybody thinks he's guilty except for Henry Fonda's character, who's the only one that says he might be not guilty. And they're all like, what? It's obvious he's guilty. And he says, well, let's go back through the trial. And he goes through certain, moments of the trial. And he starts putting, because the whole idea is that, if they say he's guilty, then he'll probably get the death penalty. And to him, it's like, this guy's life is in our hands. We can't just, say he's guilty and just walk away. We need to really make sure he's guilty, And so he wants to talk about it. And so they start talking about it. And after they go through each, kind of point to talk about that was made in the trial, starting getting more doubt. It goes from 11 guilty, 1 non-guilty, to then somebody else thinks, you know what? I think I have some doubt. I'm going to say not guilty. Now you got 2 non-guilty, and then pretty soon there's a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th. Pretty soon there's more. As we get to more evidence, it seems at first you're like, yeah, this guy seems very guilty by the evidence I'm hearing. But as he's talking through the case, you're starting to doubt yourself as a viewer. You're going, yeah, that's a pretty good point. Like that seems, not very hard evidence, and again, the whole idea of the justice system is you don't put someone guilty unless you're absolutely 100% sure. If there's any doubt, then you don't do it. That's the whole idea of being a fair trial and all that. And so I just love that concept, and I just love the story idea of him going through each point, and people starting to get on his side. Except there's like 1 or 2 that are just really kind of terrible people that will refuse to go to the not guilty side, of course. Anyways, but just the back and forth between the characters and on the points, and yeah, it's just, if you love acting, it's a movie you'll love. And good story. I mean, it's not boring at all. I think it moves at a really good pace, and there's just so many great moments as well. And Sidney Lumet directs the heck out of this. Like his first movie, I think maybe he directed, and he's a great director. And somehow they're in one space, but somehow he moves the camera around to make it interesting. So it's not just on one person, whatever, he moves around so it's interesting, you're in the same space the whole time. But yeah, it's absolute masterclass of of a movie and how to, it's like a stage play put in a movie form. And it's just a perfect screenplay with the perfect casting of actors and a great director. And yeah, it's one I've seen so many times. I never get tired of it. This is a Criterion collection of it that I got this last year. Yeah, it's one of those movies that, I don't know, it's up now at I have here at number 17 on my list. Man, this could be my top 10. It's that good of a movie. But yeah, 12 Angry Men right there at number 17. So last movie I'll talk about, number 16, one of my favorite musicals of all time, and that is Les Miserables. This came out, what, in 2000? I remember, it might have been like 10 years ago by now that it probably came out. But yeah, this is absolutely, of course, a classic Broadway musical that they made into a movie, starring Hugh Jackman. You got Russell Crowe, Anne Hathaway in a really great part, Amanda Seyfried as well. Also, maybe the first movie I've ever seen Eddie Redmayne in as well. All give actually really good performance. Amanda Seyfried, Seyfried. Tom Hooper directing. Got nominated for like a lot of awards, like Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Hugh Jackman. Won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for Anne Hathaway. In my opinion, one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Like, that's such a moving, emotional performance. And the music is just fantastic. Of course, that's why it's a big like Broadway hit movie or hit play as well. Yeah, the music, like, I remember I saw this in theater and I didn't know really anything about the music. I just heard that it was a musical, and man, I love musicals, and the music, most of the movie is music. Like, there's not a lot of dialogue that's not sung. It feels like it's just full, but I mean, the score is great, but so many great songs. I mean, like I said, Anne Hathaway's Dream a Dream or something like that. Man, is that emotional. It's sung way different. I've heard now the Broadway version or whatever, the stage version. She sings it much differently, but she sings it with a lot more emotion. And there's a reason why she won the Oscar, is because of that moment when she sings that song. And she's in this very sad, depressing, moment in her life. And she's singing about this time, what happened to her, and why she's such in a desolate place. And the dream that she had has died. Anyways, so it's a sad song, and man, the whole, I love the scene because the camera is just a close up of her face as she sings this song, and you just see every emotion that she's going through. Oh, just masterclass acting, in my opinion. Hugh Jackman, his best role. I've always liked Jackman, of course, for Wolverine and all that, but you forget that he's also a very good, singer and very good musical, stage actor as well. Just kills it as Valjean Vaughn, whatever, if I'm saying that right. Russell Crowe gets a lot of criticism for his role, but I think he does a good job here. And they criticize the singing, but I think singing actually fits the character and everything, so I don't think there's anything wrong there. Ed Redmayne gives a good performance as well. One of the first, like I said, times I've seen him. Now he's an Oscar winner as well. Yeah, lots of good stuff there. And like I said, yeah, Dream a Dream, I think it's called. But One Day More, I mean, what an incredible epic song with all the different characters singing at the same time. That's an absolutely amazing one. Bring Him Home might be my favorite, though. That is such a beautiful song that he sings, about the Eddie Redmayne character who's his adopted daughter basically is in love with, and how he's praying to God basically to bring him back home from the war. But yeah, so many moments here. It's a fairly long epic. I mean, there's, I'm trying to think, there's so many great songs in here. Do you hear the people singing songs of angry men? That song is great. Great theme that goes throughout the movie. On My Own is an amazing song moment as well. And the girl sings in the rain, who's in love also with the Eddie Redmayne character, I believe. Yeah, just one great song after another in this movie. I'm trying to think of another great song moment, but I'm kind of blanking on it. But yeah, just great song, and the story is great too. I love the redemption, or the kind of redemption of the Hugh Jackman, the Valjean Vaughn character, who comes out of prison only for stealing bread to help his his starving family, and that he's spent a long time in jail, you know, kind of unjustly, it seems like. Now he's a hardened criminal, and now he can't get any work because he's a prisoner, and so no one will give him work, and so now he's got to, you know, go back to being stealing because that's the only way he can survive because no one will give him work. And then he comes across a priest who lets him in, and then he steals from him, but then he gets arrested, and then the priest says, "No, I gave this to him." And so the fact that the priest was so kind to him when he didn't need to be, I love that idea. I love the idea of giving someone grace, you know, giving someone forgiveness, and how that changed him. He went from being kind of hardened criminal to being a very nice guy and being an upstanding guy who takes all the money that he gets to better the town. He becomes the mayor, and he owns a business, and he uses his money to help people because of this one priest who, you know, was nice to him when he didn't need to be. And that whole song is good. He has that whole song as well. That's really great, of his, you know, kind of conversion, basically becomes a Christian and all this, and does good anyways. And then I said the ending is absolutely great. I would say I love the Javert, the Russell Crowe character. I love the Javert character, that he has these rules that he won't break, and he's like a man of, he's all about rules, and, you know, and that, you know, obeying the rules is a moral man. You know, if you don't obey the rules, then you're an unsafe person or something. And he thinks he's a righteous person when he's not. He's kind of a villainous character. But then when Valjean Vaughn, I feel like I'm not saying that name right, but when he has a chance to kill Javert and he doesn't do it and lets him go and actually saves his life, then Javert is confused because he's like, this is a hardened criminal. He should kill me. And why did he not? Why did he be nice to me? You know, I love this whole idea of, you know, and I stay true to this in my own life. It's like, you be nice to people, even if they're mean. You be nice to them. You confuse them with kindness, and sometimes that happens. If you're nice to someone when they know that you shouldn't be, it might change them. It might make them think about their decisions. And so I love that Javert is kind of like I can't, you know, this guy saved my life. How can I now, you know, double cross him and, you know, arrest him and all this? And so he can't go through arresting him because he saved his life. So he feels like, now I've broken my own rule. And then, you know, what happens to him after that? I love that kind of story idea of like, Javert can't, you know, live with, you know, his decision that he makes, but it's like he has to because this guy saved his life. And anyway, so I love that whole, what happens with Javert. It's a really interesting idea as well. And then the ending is so darn good. I mean, with Javert being, not Javert, but Valjean being on his deathbed. And anyways, it ends with all the characters kind of coming together and singing that song. Do you hear the people singing songs of angry men or whatever? I love that they sing that song with everybody together. Everybody's happy. Basically it's afterlife. Like they're in the afterlife. Jean Valjean is, and all the people that he's met in his life are there, and they're singing this song together. And it ends on this incredible note. Tomorrow come, and it's, you know, that's the end. And it's like, oh my gosh, incredible emotional ending to just an incredible musical. So much to say, but yeah, love the story, love the music, some of the best music ever put to film. And I'm a big fan of musicals, so if you put great music to film, it's going to be here on my list. Anyway, so yeah, absolutely love this movie. Les Miserables. Can't get enough of it. That's number 16 on my list. So yeah, that's my 20 through 16. So we're getting down to my top 15 movies of all time. Please comment, what do you think about these 5 movies? Are they in your list as well? Or would they be? Love to read any comments about your thoughts on these movies. I appreciate everybody that comments on my channel. I always try to respond. I really appreciate when you guys comment on my stuff. Makes me feel glad that you guys are watching it and you're engaged in it and you're enjoying it and all that. So hopefully you are. Anyways, besides that, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all and hope you have a good day.